Welcome, everybody, to the Streakers podcast. I think I almost made Chazzy fall. Like, aha! And you know what the most exciting thing is? We are also on Twitch today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Dan, quick question before I introduce everyone. Dan, do you know what Twitch is?
It's for hot chicks that play video games.
A little more than that, but sure. Well, we are on Twitch, and we are live on Instagram, and we are live on YouTube. So make sure you are joining our live show. I don't know why I'm saying that to people. If they're joining us, they're hearing me say it, but that's okay. It is I, Jacob Moore, the sports analyst. We also have the CEO, Chezzy. And we have Dan Moore, more for your money.
Woo! Big night from last night. OV.
Yeah. OV.
Actually, you know, let's get into the OV thing right off the hop.
Oh no. Something happened.
You can tell we're live, folks, because Dan's scared. He found a ladybug in his room today, if anyone's wondering. So he decided to vacuum it. Because he's terrified of ladybugs, we have learned.
Oh, you blew my positive Ploy day. My positive Ploy day was going to be vacuum up negativity. You just ruined it, you asshole. I mean, Jacob.
Okay, good. Hopefully the one viewer watching at the moment, two viewers, sorry, at the moment, don't mind the swearing. We have someone on Twitch. People already found us on Twitch. See, it's not
Sorry, I apologize.
So let's talk about Alexander Ovechkin.
I've actually hit the empty button and I vacuum stuff started pulling out of it. So the lady's not going to take the shirt.
All right.
It's all over your lap.
Chazzy, Dan and I watched the Ovechkin goal live. Did you see it live or did you watch it later on the YouTubes?
I got it on the Score app about 10 minutes after on the update. But what an emotional moment. What a way to do it.
Oh, you know, it was a typical Ovechkin goal too, on the power play, standing in his office, just doing what he needs to do. It was an awesome goal. But Dan, you seem to be moved by the Ovechkin moment. So what did that feel to you as you've been an Ovechkin fan for a very long time?
It was emotional, bro, and everyone said it couldn't be done. I was an Ovi fan before it was cool to be an Ovi fan. I loved him in the World Juniors against Sidney Crosby. So I would have been back in 2005, 2004. That's when I really started following him. I realized, holy cow, here I am been following this guy for 20 plus years. And I'll just say it. I hate Wayne Gretzky. He only got what he got because no one was allowed to touch him and the league favored him so much and blah, blah, blah. And you look at guys like Ovechkin and Crosby, by the way, too. Gotta give Crosby credit. Both these guys have been in the league for 20 plus years. And they both broke high Gretzky records this season, and none of them got special treatment. Okay, Crosby had a little bit of a hit dive at the beginning, but besides of that, no one gave him any special treatment. And yeah, they had tough guys to protect them. Well, that's how the game works. But it wasn't like how they did with Gretzky. And, you know, with only controversy with Gretzky lately is kind of good karma that he got his record broken this year. So
Record's not broken yet. He still has 24 hours to enjoy it.
Well, it's tied, you know, and let's face it, none of us ever thought that we would see a third player in NHL history to hit 800 goals. Now he's tied the record, and you know what? If he gets one against the Islanders on Sunday, and he's got 5 games remaining in the season, he might even hit 900 before this season ends. And if you asked any one of us 20 years ago when Ovechkin and Crosby hopped in the league, everyone would say you were nuts. You say one of these guys are going to score 900 goals and break Gretzky's record of most goals, and the other is going to break records for point per game season for 20 plus years. Everyone would think you're on crack. And what it did happen, and it's going to happen. So it was a really special moment, especially when his kid was there in the audience too. Like, you know, his former teammates were there. It was amazing to see.
Yeah, I was happy he tied the record at home, by the way, called on the Streakers Island podcast by your boy. Mm-hmm. Said that he was going to tie the record and then break the record in Long Island. So let's see if I'm right if he breaks the record in Long Island.
You did say that, yeah.
I know. Why would I say I said that when I didn't actually say I said it? Because I said it.
Little trivia question for you two.
No.
What goalie allowed the most Ovechkin goals?
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't know.
Stuart Skinner.
Good guess, but no.
Actually, no, I'm going to guess Marc-Andre Fleury.
How about you, Jazzy?
Cujo.
Well, funny enough, Cujo is one of very few goalies that allowed 0 goals against Ovechkin. And Jacob was right. Marc-Andre Fleury is number 1. Let's see if Jazzy can get one. How many goalies have Ovechkin scored on?
How many goalies has he scored on?
Yeah.
400.
362.
Well, we gotta give I'm pulling this out of my butt, but to be honest, we gotta give it to Blypup. Blypup posted it in the group chat, and I took the time to read it. Holy cow, one of the first times in my life I read stuff. You know what? It's worth doing, people. Okay, so the answer is 179 goalies.
That's a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But anyway, I'm done.
I'm done.
But I think the most impressive thing was just the way the game has progressed with the Gretzky era and now with what OV did in this era of how fast the game's changed, the speed, the nutrition, the training. These guys are now like going through game film and analyzing on how to shut this type of player down. They just consistently not been able to stop OV in his office, and look what he's done. Look what he's accomplished with almost shy of 900 goals.
That's a great point, Chazzy, because like there wasn't the video review and the ability to really study a player the way there is now. Yeah. The weird thing is Ovechkin, and you're probably seeing this in Montreal, Patrick Laine this year. You know where they're going to stand. You know what they're going to do, yet you can't stop it half the time.
Yeah.
Like we've witnessed, you know, and also too, let's give our flowers to Sidney Crosby as well, who also broke Gretzky's record for the most consistent point per game seasons. That is a record I never thought I would see broken.
No.
I thought it was just incredible. And like, as a Canadian, I was very proud to see Sid, the not so much kid, do what he did. Yeah, right? Like, I just thought that was incredible.
It really was.
But there's a lot of games going on tonight, not involving Ovechkin, but Crosby's in one of them. Big one coming up at 2:00. Panthers versus Senators.
Oh,
this is a big one if you're a Leafs fan or a Lightning fan or a Panthers fan. Senators, they're really pulling away on that wild card spot, as we're seeing in the standings.
Nice to see.
And the Rangers and the Devils are currently playing right now in the first period. That's a must win for the Rangers.
Oh yeah.
Because Montreal's playing the Flyers tonight, which is very doable for Montreal. So the Rangers got to get a win tonight.
And I don't know who created that schedule, because they got Montreal and Nashville tomorrow at, 6?
Mm-hmm.
On a back-to-back.
Which is tough.
Yeah.
But the Rangers have to keep pace. They're 3 points behind Montreal, right? So they got to keep pace, and the only way you can keep pace is with a win.
Or toothpaste.
Well, that's an important 2 points, I think, for the Panthers, too, tonight, to stay in that race for that top spot. But they haven't been playing all that well the last 2 games either.
No, the Panthers have not looked as sharp as they have the last earlier in the season, right? So I think for Florida, they also just need to get better as they're going into the playoffs. And I get Kachuk's injured. Ekblad's out with a suspension. I'm not sure if Barkov is back or not yet, but he's been out with an injury. I think Seth Jones has been a bit of a disappointment to Panthers fans. I don't know why, and Dan, you include on this. Everyone thought, he's a great replacement for Aaron Ekblad. And I'm like, no. What Aaron Ekblad does, he's a special player. He reminds me of more like a Chris Pronger back in the day. Seth Jones is not a Chris Pronger type defenseman. He's decent, but he's not that good.
Well, that's the thing, people. I find Aaron Ekblad is one of those people really underappreciate until he's not in the lineup. Like, he's so good. It's like you don't even realize what he does, so he's not there doing it. And Seth Jones is a talented defenseman. I'm not taking that away from him, but he's a different style. And I'm really surprised because there were defensemen like Aaron Ekblad out there on the market in a trade deadline. If I was going to replace Aaron Ekblad, I would have got Brandon Carlo.
I think Florida wanted the big fish. And that's where it proves sometimes the biggest trade isn't the right trade. You look at Luke Schenn being added to Winnipeg, and he was the perfect piece.
Literally, and Carro's been a perfect piece of Toronto. Their defense looks so much more completed with Carro in lineup. I get Carro's not getting a point a night or doing anything fantastic, but he's just so consistent. And the fact that he's there, he makes Morgan Riley better. He makes Tanev and McCabe better. And he makes OEL Benoit better, right? So he was literally the perfect piece.
It's interesting, too. Schenn, since coming to Winnipeg, is a +4 playing almost 18 minutes a night.
That's a lot.
Where he was a -9 in Nashville, right? So,
everyone was.
But what I mean is he's taken a bigger role in Winnipeg than I think people expected. Mm-hmm. But I think he's been a big part of that team's penalty kill getting a bit better. And he's been a big part of that, having that extra, as you always talked about, Brandon Carlo brought in the flexibility.
Yeah.
So does Luke Schenn to your team. Luke Schenn brings in that flexibility that you can move defensemen around.
100% he does. And also got to give Brandon Tanev credit, too. He's made a big difference in a penalty kill.
Welcome to the stream,
Lane.
Thank you for joining us. Lane, the dashing dash co, as we call him. And if you guys have seen him, he's a dashing man. So it makes sense.
Gorgeous.
But thank you very much, Lane, for joining the show. We're just kind of talking about what's going on today in hockey. And actually, I don't know how we got talking about Luke Schenn, but we always seem to talk about Luke Schenn. Luke Schenn's a good dude. But when I'm looking at the games going on today, like I said, I think for the Rangers, it's tough. They've won they've won 2 straight.
Yeah.
And if you look, they actually have a positive goal differential, which they're one of the only teams they're the only team fighting for that wild card spot with a positive goal differential.
Yeah.
But you almost feel like the Rangers, they lost too many games early in the year.
100% they did.
Go ahead.
I don't know if it was a drama with the Sorokin. No, it's not Sorokin.
You're thinking of Shesterkin.
Shesterkin, yeah. I don't know if it's a drama with the Shesterkin contract or what happened with the Rangers, but it did not get done. I guess it was the drama with trading the captain Trouba, that was a crazy trade, and they haven't really recovered from that. Miller was a nice recovery, but by the time the Miller trade happened, too much damage was done. For this year, anyway.
It was, unfortunately. And Lane, answer your question. We were talking about Ovechkin right at the start of the live stream, funny enough. But Ovechkin getting that goal was a magical moment.
It was.
Dan's a big Ovi fan. That's the real reason why he keeps the tie on the door, so he knows Ovechkin can come on over. But I get. But what Ovechkin has done this year, because everyone thought last year he was kind of done. Well, except me. We didn't have the show yet. But you can ask Dan. I said he was going to get it done this season. I
didn't think he was going to.
When you looked at the second half of last year, he was back on a 50 goal per season clip again. Yeah. And all of a sudden, this year, he's been able to do the exact same thing and really get it rolling. So it's awesome to see Ovechkin break Gretzky's record. It's awesome to see Crosby breaking Gretzky's record. It's just good for the game.
And how tough is Washington going to be in the playoffs?
That's going to be the weird thing for Washington because they haven't had to play a meaningful game in a long time. It's hard to ramp it back up.
It will be. And that's what I'll say with Ovechkin, too. And so you think about it, like how much the game has changed in the 20 years he's been in it. Back 20 years ago, a lot of defensemen would take one-timers from the blue line and get goals. And that doesn't seem to happen nowadays. And as goalie equipment improved, the game has speed up. Sticks have gotten better. Shot blocking equipment has gotten better. Ovechkin still finds a way to get it done with a one-timer. It's amazing to see.
If you look at OV back until February, he's almost a goal every other game.
Yeah.
And he's got 4-game goal streak here.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Which is impressive.
Absolutely wild.
Yeah, amazing.
No, Ovechkin's been playing at another level. So my question for you guys is, do you think Ovi could hit 900 this season?
I think this season's going to be a little tough, but he did say he's going to come out and play till the end of his contract, which I think ends not this year, but the year next, right? So I think he will definitely hit 900. I mean, question is, how sky's the limit? Is it going to be 930, 940, 950? And the question is, I think he wants to keep going against someone like possibly Draisaitl might catch up to him at some point, right? So,
oh yeah, I actually don't think people are out to lunch when they're saying Draisaitl, or as much as Dan kind of cringed when I said Austin Matthews, but I think Austin Matthews is another guy we could see potentially break this record down the road. And Dan, you might go blah, blah, blah. Ovechkin did this record while having some off years, so it's doable.
100%.
That's where I think the Crosby thing is incredible, because he literally has not had an off year in his whole career.
Mm-hmm.
He's had injury-prone seasons, but never a year where you're just like, man, Crosby does not look like Crosby.
No,
Ovechkin's had a couple years where he didn't look like himself. I mean, he's had 14 40-goal seasons, 9 50-goal seasons. Like, he is the greatest. He is tied right now as being the greatest goal scorer in NHL history, and he did it in one less game.
Yeah,
That's crazy on the same amount, almost the same amount of games.
I think there's a very good chance he beats it. He gets it tomorrow against the Islanders. Although the Islanders tomorrow, they're going to be a desperate hockey club.
So what do you think? You guys think he'll hit 900 this season?
I don't.
At this pace, he has a chance, but I don't know.
I think he'll probably come up about. I think he'll be about 2 goals short. I think he'll be at 9. I think he'll be at 898.
898. I like that number.
But let's get into some of the games that are going on today.
My vacuum was on the one.
Dan's losing his vacuum, which is good. It might be a good thing for the Rangers to just suck up this season and maybe just flush it if they can make the playoffs.
So do we anchor off the elephant in the room here? How big of a game is it for your Leafs tonight against Columbus?
You know what? I think the Leafs are taking this game pretty seriously. Stolarz is starting tonight, which I'm a little surprised. I thought they would have went back to Woll. No Kemp, no McCabe. So this is a big test for the team's depth pieces. Like, well, he might say, "What's a fourth liner and your second pairing defenseman?" But I'm like, yeah, but it's your fourth liner who's one of your best penalty kills, and McCabe, who's one of your best shutdown defensemen. Those are two big pieces to fill. So Philip Myers is coming back into the lineup for Toronto. Not 100% sure who's coming in to replace Kemp. I would assume Yarncroke. I mean, not Yarncroke, sorry, Robertson. And I'm assuming then Robertson moves up to the third line because he doesn't really fit in the fourth line role. No. And then you probably go Holmberg centering with Lorentz and Yarncroke on the fourth. Because that's where you love a guy like Calle Yarncroke, right? Someone you can kind of just put anywhere. He's like that multi-tool. But Chazzy, I think this is a huge game for Toronto, especially too, as much as players say they're not scoreboard watching, they're scoreboard watching. Oh, so if the Panthers beat the Senators, which honestly, I think that's a 50-50 either way. Ottawa's a good team. And the Lightning will probably beat the Sabres today at 7. I think the Leafs are going to go in under that assumption more than likely. As much as you say you're not score watching, they are. They're 3 points ahead of the Lightning and 4 ahead of the Panthers. A game like Columbus is a game you got to win. Like Hundo P. You have to win that game. It was like I said the other night, Calgary had to win their game. And they did, right? Toronto is in a beautiful spot where they control their destiny here. They just got to win their games. And I'm not saying that's easy, but so many years we've gone down the final stretch and they've done everything right. But because they lost a couple key games and we'll say December, they didn't win the division. This year, they have the chance, if they can just win 5 out of their next 7, which I'm not saying is easy, but if you win 5 out of your next 7, you probably win the division.
So with Columbus, do they need this win to still be in the race, or do you think they're out of this?
Well, this is a must-win for Columbus.
This is a must-win. Sorry,
I think Columbus is already out, personally.
Yeah, but okay, but Dan, you gotta realize it though. The teams will never feel that way.
Yeah.
Right? Columbus is sitting at 77 points, trying to catch the Canadiens who are at 81. They do have a game in hand. This is very doable for Columbus.
But who's in the middle between Montreal and Columbus? That's my
question. Rangers. Which the Rangers, the problem is with the Rangers, you don't know what team they are. Yeah. I still don't feel I have an identity for the Rangers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess
Is it goaltending? Is it physicality? Is it whiny players? What is their identity? And you just don't know. So as much as even I personally have said I feel Detroit's probably out. Detroit's going to keep pushing. The Islanders are going to keep pushing as well. As much as they have a very slim to none chance to make it, they're going to keep pushing. This is like we talked about on Thursday. This is Montreal's chance to pull away.
Yeah.
These two
Very-
games right here. Yeah.
Very weird time for a Habs fan, probably cheering for the Leafs tonight. But if you're a Habs fan, you're cheering for the Leafs tonight.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're not, Chazzy. But if you used your calculator or just ask Dan, who's Mr. Calculator, you'd be cheering for the Leafs tonight. But
So
yeah, this is a huge game for Toronto, and it's a huge game for Columbus. That's the thing. I love this time of the year because you look at the schedule, almost every game matters.
Well,
Game
I
right
think
now
it's,
that's in the first intermission, 0-0, Rangers and Devils. That game matters a lot to the Rangers. Panthers and Senators matters to both teams. Senators don't want to let the Habs catch up to them. You got the Penguins versus the Stars. The Stars, this is a big game for them, right? You look, they are only 4 points with a game in hand behind the Winnipeg Jets. They've won 7 straight, 8 of their last 10, have points in 10 straight games. Right? The Stars, if they can jump the Jets, they avoid playing Colorado first round. That's huge.
Wow.
Right? So that game means something. Edmonton, LA today at 4:00. That game means everything. The Oilers are 2 points behind the Kings. If the Kings win this game, they probably have home ice against Edmonton. Mind you, too, probably no Draisaitl again.
No Draisaitl.
Draisaitl got hurt again.
What's the latest on Connor?
He's skating, but I don't believe he's playing. I would just.
I don't think he's playing tonight, but
Iago search.
Are they going to keep him out for as long as they can?
I would think so.
It's tough, right?
Because it's not like Connor's trying to break a record. Like last year, he's fighting to get 100 assists. Okay, I was pretty impressive. This year, he's been good. He's been over a point the game again, but he's not like trying to be his franchise year, right? So if he's got an injury problem, he's thinking we're going to rest him a little bit, get ready for the playoffs.
Like they say, he should be back before the end of the season. That's so vague, though. Is that game 81? Is that game 82? Is that tonight? Is that today? I don't think it's today.
No, I don't think
I feel it would be everywhere if he was playing today. And I don't think you rush this injury back as much as they want home ice. And I think home ice is very important for the Oilers. I don't think they risk losing their captain long term. Although, I mean, the LA Kings at home have just been dominant. I think that could be the big difference for LA this year playing Edmonton if they get home ice and the way Darcy Kemper's playing. But that's a big game tonight, right? And we continue to go down the list. Ducks versus Canucks. Game means nothing to the Ducks, means a lot to the Canucks, right? We look at the Canucks in the standings, and
they're on the bubble.
Desperate. They are 8 points out of a playoff spot with 2 games in hand over the Wild, but they got to jump the Flames and the Wild. But for Vancouver, you are not giving up yet. You mathematically have a shot. You're going to keep pushing, right? Philadelphia versus the Canadiens. Big game for Montreal. And for teams like Philly and the Ducks, as we just briefly talked about, even the Penguins, these are games that you're just trying to make the roster for next year. You're trying to show the coach who you are. And especially Philly with Torts gone, I think a lot of these guys are going to be playing hard to say, like, hey, look, we're good players.
Yeah.
Then you got the Hurricanes Bruins. Okay, that's a game that realistically doesn't really mean much of anything. Let's be honest. Hurricanes, there's no way they got second locked up pretty much. They're 9 points ahead of the Devils with a game in hand. I don't see New Jersey catching them, and they are 9 points behind the Capitals. I don't see them catching the Capitals.
No.
And the Bruins are the worst team in the East. Hilarious. Avalanche and Blues at 7:00. That's another huge game, right? The Blues are riding that 10 game. Let's actually stop and talk about this game a little bit. The Blues versus the Avs. How confident should the Blues be going into this game against Colorado? Colorado 7-2-1 in their last 10. The Blues are on an 11-game winning streak. This is a powerhouse game.
Make it 12.
This is a big game. Yeah.
So, Dan, are you saying the Blues are going to win this one?
Yeah. I got that much faith in Jordan Binnington.
But they got to lose at some. I don't think the Blues want to win out going into the playoffs.
No, they won't win out, but they want to make sure that they get a decent spot locked up. They probably want to jump the Wild for the first wild card position, I would think, in theory.
That means they'd play Vegas instead of Winnipeg, right? If it started today.
Right.
The Kings are only 3 points behind Vegas. So
yeah, it's just still very competitive. So I think even though it's great that St. Louis is doing it, they're not locked into a playoff spot quite yet.
No.
And they want to make sure they get a component they like. So Maybe we'll fight for home ice at this point. Who knows? But
I mean, the Blues definitely are not going to get out of the wild card because they're in the Central, so they're not catching Colorado. Let's just be honest here. But I do agree with you, Dan, that they don't want to necessarily get the second wild card and take either Winnipeg or Dallas. I think they'd rather play either Vegas or LA. Not that I'm saying that's easy. I don't think there's an easy opponent in the first round.
No.
Like, I think the NHL now, when you look to make the playoffs, you got to hit at least low 90s in points now.
More than that, I would say.
Oh. I just think whoever comes out of that West, like, could take it.
Yeah. Like, and you think about St. Louis did the same thing last time when they won the Cup. They were bottom of the league in January. Jordan Binnington plays out of his mind. It's literally like deja vu. And you look at how good of a team they got. You look at guys like Robert Thomas. You look at guys like Kyrou. And you look at Polenko. They got a special team.
Well, what's impressive with the Blues, they're pretty even home and on the road. Home, they're 22-14-3. On the road, they're 20-14-4. Yeah. So they're a team that you feel as a non-home seed, they still have a pretty good shot.
Right.
But that's a big game. I think that's a real measuring stick game for the Blues, too, to kind of see where they are versus some of the best teams in the league. Because I think Colorado, if they didn't have all the bad goaltending to start the year, they're probably fighting for the top of the Western and top of the Central Division.
I agree with that 100%.
That's Central. Everyone talks about the Atlantic. That Central is stacked.
Well, after the trade deadline, right?
Winnipeg, Dallas, Colorado in your top three.
Yeah.
Like, that's stacked.
It is.
But that's a big game for both of those teams. Then we got the Lightning Sabres. Again, for the Sabres, they're kind of looking to just build for the future. But I don't know about you guys. I want to talk about Buffalo for a minute here. I was disappointed in Buffalo this year.
Oh, 100%.
As a Bills fan, I was very disappointed.
Last couple of years, you think they're going to sort of like, okay, you got young studs here and you sort of got the chemistry, or looks like you got chemistry on the ice, and then all of a sudden they lay an egg.
They never recovered from that Jack Eichel situation.
Yeah, but it's almost Crimea River.
No, but I'm not saying, like, he was a top franchise center, and the way they treated him with his injury, they never really recovered with that. I get the guy big trade with Vegas, yada, 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 but it's like, I don't know. And I've been disappointed with Josh Norris. I don't think he's done much in Buffalo versus Cousins really surprised me and did a lot in Ottawa so far.
I don't know what Josh Norris has done. I mean, now mind you, Buffalo is 7-3 in their last 10.
That's impressive.
So, like, they if you remember, they did this last year too. Once they basically had no shot, they started playing a lot better.
Yeah,
the way they could play all year.
Yeah, Norris he's only played 3 games at Buffalo and has 2 points.
Well, that's pretty good.
In Ottawa, he had 33 points in 53 games. Like, Josh Norris was a guy that's been disappointing. I always thought he'd be better than what he is.
Just not.
You always felt he had more to give than what he's given.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think this is a real. I think could be a tight. I think this could be a tight game. I think it's a must win for Tampa, though.
Oh yes.
Wow, Cousins has 9 points in 14 games with the Sens.
He's been great, and not just the points, but he's been so good at face-offs. He's been very physical. He's really talk about identity building. Like he really made a big difference on Ottawa team. I think it kind of makes a push to get into the playoffs and just not get any playoffs. I think with the additions of Cousins, it could be competitive.
Dan, I think the reason why Chazzy's laughing is you were so mad about that trade.
Well, it didn't make any sense at first. It really didn't. But prove me wrong. I was wrong. I looked at it. I thought it was the worst trade of the day. A comb. What does that do anything?
But is Lane calling you out there, Jacob, on your comment with more force 1v1?
Oh, interesting point. It's crazy because I remember when you were doing your 1v1 debate, Ovi doesn't really have his flash and dash anymore. But how has he been able to kind of attack? Honestly, you know what, Lane? I get words. I get what you're saying. Ovechkin has found a way to tweak his game, even though he doesn't have that speed and attack ability. Like, I remember like back when he came into the league. Do you guys remember that goal he scored on his back against the Coyotes?
I was just going to say that. Yeah, I was
He's not scoring goals like that anymore. But I mean, he's still. It's crazy how good he's still playing. 100%. And at his age, he's what, 39?
39, yeah.
And I mean, the guy is still finding a way to be the best goal scorer in the league.
Yep.
Right? Because when you think about it, he'd be on pace for over 50 if he didn't get injured. He missed 15 games and hit 40 goals this year.
I think he missed 16 games, actually.
Okay, Mr. Calculator.
Well, he scores a goal every second game. That's important.
But I mean, you look at it, he'd be right up there of Draisaitl, and he'd probably be past Willie.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
He'd easily be second, and he still might pass Nylander this year, depending, because Nylander usually, as soon as the Leafs either have the division locked up or know they can't catch the division, watch Nylander's numbers just go. He'll just stop. He did that last year through the regular season, like, whatever. But
who cares?
But I think for the Lightning, I don't know if you boys agree with me or not, but you can't lose this game if you're the Lightning.
100%, yeah.
At this point, you're just to, what do you say, 4 points for Florida. They lose another game, like Toronto's got in Tampa Bay sort of on that. They lose a game or two. Mind you, if Toronto loses tonight, they're keeping the door wide open.
Well, that's the thing. And Toronto's playing Columbus tonight. As we said, Anthony Stolarz is getting a start, which I was a little surprised. I thought they would have went back to Woe just to keep the rotation, but I think maybe
you can.
Is this an indicator now? Is this an indicator that
yes.
this is your stallion?
I think if I really feel if Stolarz plays well again in this game, I would think it'd be completely idiotic if they play him back-to-back Tuesday, Wednesday, if all the injuries he's had. Right. But if he plays well again in this game and then plays well against either Florida or Tampa again in the back-to-back in the middle of the week.
What a back-to-back. Holy
what a
cow.
week.
What a week. No, you're not going to play them both back-to-back. But he plays well in the one game he gets. He'll be your starter for the playoffs. On a short leash. Mind you, short leash. Either goalie's getting a short leash.
Who you start? Who on the back-to-back? That's more
depends on your standings. That's something we'll have to wait and see until Monday, Tuesday. See where you are, because you play Florida Tuesday, the Lightning Wednesday. Let's say the Lightning are the ones that are closer to catching you. You play Stolarz against the Lightning.
Yeah.
You got to be strategic here.
Yeah, because Stolarz should play good last game against Florida, too.
Say that again, Chazzy?
You lose tonight. Who are you putting in net for the first of the back-to-back?
Okay, again, the losing, if we lose 1-0, I'm not blaming my goaltender. Like, this is the thing that drives me nuts. And sorry, Chaz, I'm going to call you out here and call everyone out. When they're like, oh, we lost, better put in a different goalie. That's like saying when the Bengals were terrible this year, it was Joe Burrow's fault. It was the defense's fault.
You can tell Jacob was a goalie player going up.
But if the goalie plays outstanding and you lose a game 2-1 or 1-0 or 3-2 or whatever, and the goalie played out of his mind, it's not the goalie's fault. So you're still confident in your starting goalie.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so Chazzy, I think the bigger question would be if Stolarz plays bad tonight. Let's say he allows 6 goals on 8 shots and he gets pulled. Then I'm probably starting Woe in my next game in the back-to-back either way. Just giving Woe the next start. That's why I was really surprised to see Stoley get this one. But I think it's showing where the Leafs are leaning to on who your starting goalie is. Dan's still looking for ladybugs.
I'm not surprised. Dude, that was scary as hell, bro. But no, I'm not
Lane, if you're wondering, Dan's afraid of ladybugs. So if you ever see him out, just tell him there's a ladybug on his hat.
I'm not surprised, just off my speaker hat. I'm not surprised at all they're playing Stolarz, because Stolarz played on Wednesday. He only got a 3-day break now. Like, he played great on Wednesday. I think it totally makes sense. I don't know why Jacob's so surprised.
As I thought they wouldn't want to give away who their starter was going to be in the playoffs. I think this is kind of giving it away a little bit. But maybe Berube just doesn't care about mind games. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this is a must-win game for Toronto and a must-win game for Columbus.
Actually, it's going to be a big...
If Columbus loses tonight, they're done. I'll say that. They lose tonight. Yeah.
I agree.
I think Columbus is done already, to be honest. But I think
this is a must-win for them because... And the thing, Columbus, too, it's been very weird. All the teams in the wild card area, none of them seem to want this wild card spot in the East.
Yeah.
Like, you look, the Islanders are 4-4-2 in their last 10. Red Wings are 4-5-1. Blue Jackets 3-6-1. Rangers 5-4-1. Canadians 5-3-2. Senators 5-4-1. A team really could have pulled away here.
Yeah.
And no one did.
Well, it shows you how competitive everyone's playing, right? But I think the big game too. We're talking about the players of Toronto. Is really big tonight for Philip Myers and Nick Robertson because they want to try and prove that they deserve a starting roster spot in Game 1 in the playoffs. I don't think they do, but they want to try and prove that they do. And if they both have big games tonight, it might make him a fighting case.
Are you putting him with Domi? Are you putting him with Domi tonight?
I'm 100%. Robertson and Domi has great chemistry.
Yeah.
And then I'm putting Myers with. I'm probably moving OEL to play with Tanev, and then Myers and Benoit.
I agree with that. Yeah, 100%.
Use that as kind of a sheltered pairing.
Yep.
Again, not a bad pairing. Benoit's been playing some great hockey lately.
Give him a lot of credit because let's face it, Toronto did get Luke Sen. Benoit would have been the odd man out, and I think the fact that it was so close to happening and really lit a fire under Benoit's butt, and Benoit's been amazing. Wow. Give him a lot of respect.
But there's another big game at 7:00 with the Jets playing Utah. And this, I kept saying for a while, it felt like the Jets games didn't matter. Well, all of a sudden, this game matters for the Jets.
Yeah.
They're only 4 points ahead of the Stars, and the Stars are rolling, right? The Stars have got points in 10 games straight, won 7 in a row. Jets are playing well at 7-3 in their last 10 as well. But I really think that this... everyone talks about winning the Central winning the Atlantic is so important. I argue winning the Central is just as crucial, if not more, because you're facing the Avalanche if you finish second. I think the Avalanche are the best non-division winning team in the league.
I agree.
If there's any team to pull an upset, it's the Avalanche.
Well, this all happened too because of the trade deadline. Before the trade deadline,
more than the deadline, no, it was really the
it wasn't because Dallas got Rantanen and Winnipeg got Nelson, Charlie Coyle, Johnson.
You mean Colorado?
Colorado, right? So, and then Winnipeg got Luke Sen and Tanev to get even better. So this wasn't a conversation before the trade deadline.
Well, no, I think it was more truthfully Winnipeg has slowed down a little bit. I mean, they're still a great team, 108 points already, 52 wins. They're an impressive team, and I'm not saying they're not, but they've slowed down a little bit. And I think Dallas and Colorado really picked it up, especially Dallas. That Rantanen trade has worked out really well for Dallas. How will that contract look 2-3 years down the road? Time will tell. But because you're paying Rantanen a lot of money, and we now know. Okay, but hear me out here. We now know when Rantanen's not happy, he just doesn't play well.
Yes, exactly.
So if he has an argument with his significant others, he can have a bad game.
No, but I think he's where he wants to be. I don't think he ever wanted to be in Carolina. Whoever.
Yeah, but suck it up. You're a professional. I lost a lot of respect for Rantanen the way he handled that. I lost a lot of respect for him.
Well, I do too because it was his own fault. If he wanted to play Nathan McKinnon that badly, instead of fighting with 12 or 14 million, go back to Colorado like, hey, do what? I'll stay here for 9 or 10. I guarantee they would keep him.
Well, I also want to point out,
stay for 9 or 10 though.
I know these are different sports and different situations, but look when Kawhi Leonard was traded to Toronto.
Yeah,
he did not want to play in Toronto, right? That was very obvious, correct?
Raptors.
But what did he do? He went out there and played his best basketball he's played in his entire career,
and won a championship.
And he hasn't put a full season in since, has he?
No, he hasn't. Truthfully, I think if he stayed in Toronto, I think the Raptors could have had a dynasty. I really do.
Well, let's face it, MLSC have one of the best medical staff in the NBA because they got the money to spend thanks to the Leafs.
Actually, the Raptors make more money than the Leafs, Dan.
Yeah, but at the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I mean is, Rantanen could have been an adult and played like a professional, but instead he's like, I miss my buddies.
If you think about if he played like an adult in Carolina, okay, hypothetically wins the Stanley Cup in Carolina, then on free agency, he could quite gradually say he's worth $14.5 million.
Because he would have been.
100%.
He's went to, 3 of the top 4 teams in the conference. Like, you move from Colorado to Carolina to now Dallas, where all 3 of those teams are like top 3, top 4 in the league.
One thing I will say, Carolina's done a very good job of not letting any of that BS affect their play on the ice.
Oh, it's incredible the job they do there.
Give Bob Venable so much credit.
I'm going to be real with you guys. I can't stand the Hurricanes, but they're a good team.
They are.
Playoff
and they're coached so well. They're a playoff built team. Wow, they're 38-1 at home. That's impressive.
And like I said, when the Wakeman trade happened, you can't underestimate Taylor Hall. Taylor Hall has quietly fit in Carolina very nicely and just gave Carolina more consistency in top 6 forwards, right?
Yeah, Carolina just quietly, continuously wins.
And
It's
because
shown
he
that the
went
last,
in,
4 or 5 years. So
and because he went in the trade, now they got a couple first round picks to play with too. So this team's just going to keep getting better and better. If I ever trade the first round picks on the draft or get someone really good, and also draft top players and be even this good in the next 3-5 years.
Actually, Dan, I'd like to point out to your point, Taylor Hall was 8 goals, 7 assists, and 15 points in 25 games with the Hurricanes. I'd like to point out in 46 games with the Blackhawks, he had 24 points. And he's also a +6.
Oh, the atmosphere is different.
He's added 4 power play goals, 6 power play points.
Yeah, he's a great player.
He's looking more back to himself.
I've always been a big Taylor Hall fan.
He played in New Jersey when he won the Hart.
Yeah.
Can we go back to the Jets for a second?
Yes, yeah.
The season that you've had, big lead, closing, if Dallas catches you, and then you play the Avs, and you have a first-round exit, how devastating is that of the season?
Oh, my gosh, it's terrible. And that's why we talked about it here before on the island, but I'll say it again. This is why its playoff format is terrible. You get a team like Colorado, Dallas, and Winnipeg knocked out in first round, and possibly a team like Calgary or Minnesota or St. Louis make it a second or third round. It makes no sense to me.
The format sucks, but at the same time, teams have still found ways to win cups. And,
well, for sure. It's no disrespectful to other teams.
But no, I think for Winnipeg, if they go out first round, it's a fail. And I'm going to tell you boys why.
100%. They gave up
this
a future.
Team should be able to beat any team in the NHL in a best of 7. You have the best goaltending in the league.
Mm.
You have defense that is huge and physical and mean.
Mm.
And you have depth at the forward group.
And got
playing like he did 5 years ago. Like, this Winnipeg team should be able to, no matter if they play Dallas, Colorado, or they play, well, obviously they should be able to smoke the Minnesota Wild, but they should be able to beat anyone. They have an 84 goal differential. They have allowed the least amount of goals in the West.
Wow.
Actually, the least amount of goals in the entire NHL, only 177 goals against versus 261 for.
Wow.
Like this team, it's a huge failure. It's the same thing I said about the Leafs too. They're a team that should be able to beat any team. And I'm not saying the Leafs are as good as the Wild because they're not, but they're good enough to be able to beat any team. Minnesota has been the best team. Not Minnesota, sorry. Winnipeg has been the best team in the league basically all year. So, yes, beating no excuse. I don't care who you face. Beat them. Go to the Cup finals.
Yeah.
At least conference finals. I think Winnipeg's another one. If they don't make it to the conference finals, they need to really think about making some major adjustments.
Well, all 3 teams, Winnipeg, Colorado, and Dallas, if they don't make the conference finals, they failed. And only 2 teams makes the conference finals. So regardless how you look at it, at least one of those 3 teams are going to fail this year.
Yeah, 100%.
That's sad to see, but it's the truth.
Get over it.
Yeah, exactly. Build a bridge to get over it.
If you're a Winnipeg fan, you got to be hoping for at least a first-round win.
100%.
When Winnipeg's kind of been like the Leafs in that point, they have not had a lot of playoff success.
No. They did have one big round.
They had one big run.
Yeah, one big one.
That was a while back, though, no?
Oh, a long time ago. I think it was when they still had Brian Little back then. Brian Little, Great Barry Colt, and I think Mark Seifert was just a Wookiee of his second or third year. Like, they still had Patrick Laine back then. That's how long ago it was.
Yeah, I think for Winnipeg, I agree with you, Chazzy. This year, I don't think if you lose the division and then lose to Colorado in the first round, there's something wrong with the character of the group.
Yeah.
Because they should be able to win the division and avoid having to play Colorado in the first round. I get Dallas as a good team, but so is Winnipeg.
Yeah.
And they still have 2 points ahead of them.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to check this. See, does Winnipeg have what's their schedule like coming up?
Well, I was going to say St. Louis because we're talking about the 12-game winning streak. I think it could be 12. I can see St. Louis losing against a bad team. That's my prediction. I think St. Louis has been playing so well against top teams for so long. If they get a team like, I don't know, Utah or Anaheim or something, I think they're just going to kind of fall asleep.
Well, the Winnipeg's got a 500 sort of. They got 3 top threes and 3 bottom threes, pretty much.
However, you see though coming up, they play Dallas on Thursday the 10th.
Yes.
Boy, that'll be a game.
Monday. Yeah,
That's a huge game. So for Winnipeg, I think that makes tonight's game against Utah even more important.
Imagine that game goes in overtime, Winnipeg and Dallas.
Because Winnipeg, they got Utah tonight, which Utah's sneaky.
Yeah,
they're a sneaky team. They don't look like they're that great, but my gosh, they have some good young talent.
Yeah.
Then you go to the Blues, who have been dominating. Then you got the Stars. Then you close out the year with the Blackhawks. Tough game against the Oilers. Then close the year against the the Ducks.
Yeah.
This is for Winnipeg. You have to beat Utah, Chicago, and Anaheim, and you probably have to beat Dallas. You can lose to Edmonton and the Blues if you like when you're looking. You're probably not going to win out the year.
So they got to go 4-2 in the next 6 days.
Exactly.
Which I think is very doable for this team. This team should win
run the table. Yeah.
However, I'm sure the Dallas Stars fans are yelling at me right now because they feel they could win the division.
100%.
And Dallas, their schedule is not bad, right? They have the Penguins tonight, then they play the Wild tomorrow. So those are 2 very winnable games. And you got the Canucks. Actually, Dallas has a much easier schedule.
Yeah.
Right, because then you play the Jets, then you close the year with the Utah Wings and Preds.
I gotta say, too, of this
division, Dallas, Winnipeg should win the division, but Dallas has a very good chance of winning out the year. And if they win out,
coming back to your point about Minnesota, they play Minnesota. Dallas plays Minnesota. Then you got Calgary. How big of a game is it for Calgary tonight? Now you're
huge.
Potentially, if you win both of those games that you have in hand, you potentially now are in the driver's seat to jump them by a point.
And you guys thought I was crazy, but it's legitimately doable. This is going to be a tough game for Calgary tonight versus the Golden Knights.
Oh, that's going to be tough.
Justin Wolf's got to be starting in net for me if I'm Calgary. Yeah. And I am just telling Nazem Kadri, just take over.
This is your playoff right here.
Take the wheel, Nazem.
Carrie Underwood wants Jesus to take the wheel. I want Nazem Kadri to take the wheel.
100%. Yeah.
This is mind you, this is a tough game for Calgary.
It's a must win for Calgary, no?
When I looked at the schedule, I said this was the one game they got to at least get to overtime.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to at least push the Golden Knights to overtime, put your 4 points back.
Yeah.
Because there's a good chance, let's be honest, the Wild will probably lose to the Stars tomorrow. Would you guys all agree with me?
Yes.
No, they have a high probability. Yeah.
Right? And then the Flames get the Sharks before they play the Wild.
Right.
The Flames should beat the Sharks.
100%.
Then the Wild play the Sharks, which again, San Jose will probably lose that one. So Winnipeg.
They've been sneaky too, though.
Yeah.
They like to play the spoiler role.
Yeah.
They do. And that Celebrini kid's special.
Yeah, sales Will Smith.
Hey, speaking of Will Smith, I made Dan listen to some of Will Smith's newest rap album today. Yes, guys, I'm a 90s baby, so I love my old school hip hop. And Dan, you were pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it was good stuff. I give a guy a lot of credit.
It's very weird hearing Will Smith swear, though. I just want.
He got slapped out of the entertainment industry. Ha ha ha! So now he's getting in the music industry.
Oh, cut your racket.
Yeah.
Cut your racket.
But
yeah, I'll just suck it up.
This is a huge game for Calgary. Calgary is sitting 5 points out with 2 games in hand. Yeah, this is huge. If you can at least get to overtime, you don't care about giving Vegas a point. Who cares? If you can at least get to overtime, that puts you 4 points back with still a game in hand. Yeah. If you can find a way to win this game, then all bets are off the table. I think I agree with you, Chazzy. This is when if Calgary wins, they're in the driver's seat. They control their own destiny.
Now
Yeah.
that's okay. Vice versa. Do you think Vegas is going to play 100% for this game?
Yes,
the
because the
doesn't
Kings
need-
are only 3 points behind them, and they don't want to face Edmonton first round.
Yeah, that's true.
I would
too.
argue Edmonton is sort of like Colorado. Everyone is scared to face them first round.
Yeah.
And the Kings don't want to face Edmonton first round to keep losing to them.
Boy, Kings look really good out of late too.
Oh my gosh, that team is. I love
No
that.
one's talking
Love
about the Kings, but wow, I called it ever since they got Drew Doughty back. That team is way
I want
better.
my Doughty back.
Because even if I thought Drew Doughty was washed up, well, I called it. Bring him in Four Nations. He was dominating Four Nations, and now look at him playing in LA. He only has 5 goals already, and he missed half the year. And he's a defenseman. Like, he's a really good player.
But coming back to the Wild here, you point out, Chazzy, the Wild, their schedule's kind of a mixture. You got Dallas tomorrow, which is a tough game. Then you got the Sharks. Then you play Calgary, Vancouver back-to-back. Vancouver's desperate, although Vancouver might be eliminated by then from playoff contention. But I still think that team's going to be playing hard because there are guys that want to stay, guys playing for contracts. And you close the year against Anaheim, where Anaheim, I think that team's really trying to find its way.
When you
And
look at Calgary, if we look at Minnesota loses to Dallas, Calgary wins tonight. And then Calgary makes up those 2 games with wins. Now you're a point ahead and pretty much in the driver's seat to just keep pace or win when Minnesota wins. Sort of like now you're pretty much in the drive. Like they just got to win these next couple of games. But I think after this weekend, I think we'll have a clearer sort of more.
Oh, we will.
Both sides. Clearer picture.
I think when we do our Tuesday show, we'll have a very good idea on what the playoffs are going to look. At least who's going to make it. We might not know exactly where everyone's sitting.
Not going to know home ice yet.
We won't know home ice, but I think we'll have a pretty good idea where I would say 14 out of the 16 teams who are in. I think we'll pretty much know.
Yeah.
Is even now we feel like I think the teams that are in the divisions are in, like Winnipeg,
What?
Dallas, Colorado, Vegas, Kings, Oilers, Devils, Hurricanes, Caps, Panthers, Lightning, Leafs. All those teams are in.
Yeah.
We realistically know 12 out of the 16 right now and who's going to make it.
Yes.
And I would even argue I don't see the Blues falling apart and not making the playoffs. No. And I don't see the Senators falling apart and not making the playoffs. So I think we probably know 14 out of 16 now.
Right.
I think by Monday or on Tuesday, we'll probably know 15 out of 16. I think the East will be sorted.
Yeah, I think so.
I think the last one
Devils still tied 0 halfway through.
And that's a must. Honestly, if the Rangers lose that, Montreal wins tonight, then I think the Rangers are done.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, I think both Rangers and Columbus lose today.
Yeah.
I think you pretty much this is your playoff right here.
And you look at the Rangers schedule too, and it's not the easiest. You got the Lightning on Monday after their game today, then back-to-back against the Flyers and Islanders. The Islanders won't be mathematically eliminated, I don't think, by then, so they'll still be playing hard. Then you got the Hurricanes, Panthers, and Lightning. Remember, the Panthers and Lightning, even if they don't win the division, they could be fighting for home ice.
I think if we just go 4-2, I think they squeeze in. I think we could go 4-2.
Oh, I disagree with you completely. I think the Rangers fall apart and miss.
Okay, they only get they get 2 wins against the Islanders and what was the other team he said?
Flyers.
Yeah, they're going to win the back-to-back, no problem.
I disagree.
Well, I got 2 wins there.
Disagree.
So the other 4 games, they have to go 500.
Then that wouldn't be enough. You're assuming Montreal's going to lose out.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Montreal, they get a favorable schedule. We just got to win. Just got to win these games.
Yeah, you look at Montreal's schedule. Montreal is in the driver's seat, Dan. You got the Flyers tonight, Preds tomorrow, Red Wings Tuesday. Okay, Senators, Leafs back-to-back. That's tough. You might only win one. You might lose both of them.
But it's this weekend. These 3 games right now are close.
Oh, yeah. If Montreal wins Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, they're in.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I even think if they win Saturday, Sunday, they're in. If they win back-to-back, they're in.
Yeah.
Because even to close out the year after that, you got Detroit, Ottawa, Toronto, Chicago, Carolina.
Yeah.
Winnable games, but Carolina will be tough. But Detroit and Chicago are winnable. So, Dan, I think the Rangers have to win out.
Wow. Yeah, Montreal's going to go 4-2 as well.
Montreal will easily. No, I think Montreal will easily. They'll win 5 out of their next 7. I'm confident. Even if they win 4 out of their next 7, I think they're in.
Yeah, makes sense.
To close out the year. Chazzy, would you? I know you were saying the schedule is tough for Montreal. They got to play at 7. Oh, and it's actually 7 o'clock in Nashville, not 6 o'clock.
But still, going for
Montreal, it's that's a lot of travel.
For a back-to-back this late in the season.
You know what, though? Don't worry. They will listen to their
Music
country
City.
roads. Take me
you don't
home to a place that I belong.
West
Going to
Virginia.
Nashville on an airplane with my stick. It kind of stinks. Anyways. But no, for Montreal, if they can, I agree with you, Chazzy. That's not I don't know who made the schedule. Wasn't me. They even got me on camera. But this is a tough way to close the year out if you're Montreal there. But I still think Montreal, if they win 4 of the next 7, because if you say the Rangers go 4-2, they fall short. I think the Rangers got to win the next 6.
They got to run the table.
They got to run the table, and I don't see them doing it.
Yeah,
and I think the Rangers are going to be a team. I think there'll be some major changes coming up for that team in free agency.
Yeah, I think so. We'll have another episode, I guess.
Because the Rangers, everyone keeps saying they're a Stanley Cup contender. Well, they keep going out in the 3rd round. This year, I'm going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
True, as I know, Calgary is more points out than these other teams that I'm talking about, but I think Calgary is the one team that's looking out that has a legitimate chance if they can win their games. Because Minnesota's been playing so terribly. Like Montreal's been playing. If Montreal goes 500 to close the year, they probably make the playoffs, right? Right, like realistically.
Yeah.
If you go 500, there's 7 games left for them. So that means you win. We'll say you win 3. That puts you to 87 points. The Rangers currently have 79. I think 87 points probably gets you in this year in the East.
Yeah, probably. It's the West that need more points.
Where and the thing is, I don't see Montreal going under 500 in their next 7.
No.
I really don't. That team is a good team.
Very good team.
The Wild, I could legitimately see them in the next 5 losing 4.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I just don't have any faith in this team.
No.
Even that game against the Islanders last night, the Wild just looked bad. They looked disinterested.
Yeah.
And you know what? Then you got the Stars on Sunday. You'll probably lose to the Stars. And if you lose to the Sharks and Calgary manages to win their games over the next 2, I think it's more realistic that the Wild don't make it than the Habs, even though the math might not say that. I think by the numbers and just the schedule, because remember, you can't just look at the points. You got to look at the schedule and look how the team's playing.
For sure, 100%.
And you look at the Wild, they're not playing well. Right? So they haven't won. The last game they won was against Washington on the 27th of March. And then even that, they've been able to cram in a couple wins between losing streaks. Like if you look, their longest winning streak they've had since March 1st is 3.
Yeah.
Where they beat the Kings, Kraken, and Sabres. Okay, beating the Kings was impressive, but beating the Kraken and beating the Sabres, well, they're not good teams.
No, exactly.
They keep basically every 4 they lose 3.
Yeah.
So if they continue that trend, let's say they lose. Seriously, they lost to the Islanders, they lose to the Stars. Even if they beat the Sharks and then they lose to the Flames and Canucks, you might not make it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have. If I'm a Wild fan, I'm very nervous right now.
It's like you said, we'll know on Tuesday. I just think it's very sad if Marc-Andre Fleury ends his career that way.
Yeah, but he's choosing to retire, and he said he didn't want to be traded.
Yeah, it's stupid. What? It was stupid.
Oh, Dan's the Marc-Andre Fleury hater. Just kidding. Dan's a big Marc-Andre.
No, I love Marc-Andre Fleury.
I love Marc-Andre Fleury. It's going to be a sad day when he retires, which is coming up. But no, I agree with you guys. I think Calgary is as I said it, even though I think you guys thought I was a little nuts earlier in the week, now Chazzy's starting to come to the dark side and agree with me. Dan still thinks I'm a little crazy, but the Flames have a legitimate shot.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you guys to think, if there's one game today you're the most excited about, what game is it?
Oh boy, they're all very competitive for the most part.
I'm gonna say the Leafs Columbus to watch, to see what styles both teams come out with. This is a playoff atmosphere. Like Toronto, you're in the driver's seat to extend your lead on Tampa and Florida, but Columbus, like this is your playoffs right here. So it'll be interesting just because I think Columbus has scored a lot of goals in the last couple of weeks. So
they got 8 goals the other day.
So we'll see sort of what teams we get, but that's probably the game watch, and then obviously make sure that Montreal wins this winnable game, we'll say.
Dan, what about you? It's 2-0 Devils now, by the way, over the Rangers.
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow.
Well,
with one goal and Timo Meier with the other.
Wow. Since Chazzy took my answer, I'm going to say the Colorado and St. Louis game. Because that's really big to see if St. Louis can keep the winning streak, and St. Louis can kind of clinch that wild card spot, and if Colorado, if they're going to get home ice or not. So, because I think whoever gets home ice in that series is very, very,
If St. Louis wins that game, you almost have to put them into the conversation of Dallas and Colorado.
Oh, 100%.
Going into this playoff, if they beat Colorado, I'm going to take Colorado in this. But if the Blues win, you almost pretty much got to put them up in that conversation going in.
So I'm going to mention main game I am excited to watch. I'm going to make sure I brew a lot of coffee because I'm going to be up late. The Flames versus the Golden Knights.
Yeah, it's a big game.
So as much as I'm a Leaf fan, I'm also a Flames fan. And
of course,
this is a game for the Flames. I think they need to find a way to get a point. They got to get a point out of it. Now, I'm not saying if they lose this game, they're done. I don't feel they are just because the way the Wild have been playing. I think the Wild are playing themselves out of a spot, potentially. Yeah. But if you can win this game, put yourself 3 points behind the Wild, oh, baby.
Yeah.
You're excited.
Yeah.
And then another game, I'm going to give you 2. Another game I'm really excited for as well. 4:00 Oilers versus Kings.
Yeah.
I think this is a huge game for both of these teams. And I do want to give a quick shout out to Calvin Pickard. I think he's been playing some great hockey for the Oilers.
He has been.
I think if Stuart Skinner's healthy, the way Calvin Pickard's playing, Calvin Pickard might be my starter round 1.
Wow.
The guy that we always call the AHL goalie, well, he's putting up numbers like an NHL goalie right now, and he's just making
AHL wonder.
Need it. Right? And that's what I say so much about goaltending. You think about Grant Fuhr back in the day. His numbers weren't that great, but he made one big save when you needed it. And that's what Calvin Pickard's been doing for Edmonton lately.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So on your comment there, how much of a leash do you give him if you do take him into the playoffs?
Oh, as shorter than Stolarz'.
So one, okay, mind you, you're
not the loss thing, but
it's let's say quality save,
4-2, and he just played okay. You're going back to Skinner.
Got it. Okay.
But and that also depends if Stuart Skinner's healthy. And what a disaster for Edmonton there to let Skinner get hurt and not even retaliate. Corey Perry talked about it in the media, but that just kind of showed me where this Edmonton team's at this year. I honestly don't see this team going on a deep run.
I don't either.
I think they got rid of the wrong pieces and brought in the wrong guys to replace them.
Yeah, I think
you look at the way Dylan Holloway's playing, and same with Warren Fogle. Those are 2 guys that have really elevated this year.
Yeah,
both with the Blues, by the way, and just
Warren Fogle's in LA.
Oh, he is in LA. Thank you. Well, that's okay. One of them.
Yeah, 23 goals? Some
great. The Oilers are singing the blues about both of them because both got bringing in Jeff Skinner and Arvidsson has not worked. They've been okay, but they haven't been Holloway's got 26, 27 goals. Warren Fogle, Dan said he thinks got 23. Yeah. Edmonton, they made a mistake. And I really think depth scoring is going to be big for them in the playoffs because I think the teams are going to just really focus on shutting down McDavid and Draisaitl. Zach Hyman's taken a huge step back this year from last year, which I thought he'd take a step back, but not this big of a step back. I thought he maybe put in 35, 40 goals. I don't think he's on pace for that this year. But yeah, this is a huge game for Edmonton. You got to win it. For Edmonton, you have to win this game. If you don't win this game, you are the road team. I'm calling it.
Yeah.
Do you guys agree or disagree with me there?
No, I agree.
Agree.
But man, there's a lot of exciting games today. I'm really excited, and I know the viewers are excited too to see what's coming on. Before we go, in our group chat, take that, Kachuk. I sent Chazzy a lovely voice note about the Blue Jays. I think Dan's computer might be low on battery. I think he needs to plug it in. I heard it. So we might Dan. But Chazzy, you follow baseball a little more than I do, I think. So what was the logic of pulling Gosman there when he had retired 11 or 12 batters straight? I get he walked the guy, but it looked like an intentional walk. And then putting in a rookie pitcher against Soto. What was the logic?
Well, no, we're not in the dugout, but what it comes down to, just the analytics. Some of these managers just go off of pitch count, analytics. Like, there's some mathematical statistics that these managers and baseball's following that I think before the game, they know what number of pitches that their starter is going to have that day. So it could have been pitch count. But yeah, you bring a rookie in against Soto, then unless they thought this was his moment, that he's going to go against Soto and, I don't know, throw heat by him. But I don't know.
I don't know. I just didn't agree with the decision at all. And I'm shocked he still has a job. I am very shocked that he is still managing. Like, I think for the Jays too, like that game against the Mets just showed why. I know, Dan, you said earlier in the week, I'm sorry, Dan, I'm calling you out, that they were going to get 98 wins.
Well, we'll see what happens.
You don't get too excited after seeing the Washington sweep.
But I don't know. I don't see. I don't know. I'm kind of
we'll
just
see what Bassett has today against the Mets, or what kind of team the Jays come out and respond.
Yeah, but it's not just pitching. I mean, and obviously the pitching was a huge problem again. But they got under 7 hits, which I called. I said they're going to win though, and they didn't even get a damn run. But I don't know what this team. They just don't. The big guns aren't being big enough. Like, I mean, Springer's playing well, but Guerrero's came out flat this year. And I don't know if that's the contract or whatever. I feel Bichette came out flat again, offensively at least. And you're paying these guys more money than just to be good defensively, right? I don't know. I'm losing that game. It wasn't that they lost; it was how they lost, and that made me lose confidence in this group.
Yeah, there's not the excitement that we've had going into the season in the last 3 or 4 years. It's sort of like not feeling it at the moment anyway with this club. But I think we don't know, but the negotiations has to have an effect
for sure.
on the start. You should have almost tried to get that done so you can go into the year. We know what direction this team's going in now, because really, what direction are they going in? If sort of they slide a little bit more, right? So,
well, if they slide more,
we used to know the identity of the Jays. We just don't know it right now.
Well, as I pointed out earlier in an earlier episode, I think the first 30 games are very telling for this team. And if you're 30, 40 games in and you're under 500 and you're not keeping with the division at all, I think we could see a lot of pieces fall.
Yeah.
If Guerrero deal isn't getting done, then you got to move him.
Are you rebuilding? You're getting rid of your horse.
If Bichette and Guerrero both aren't resigning,
move on from him.
Well, you have to. If they're both not resigning and this team and the team doesn't look like to be a contender, then you have to. You Chazzy, you look a little flummoxed. I'm using a university.
Like my buddy Todd and I, we went down to see Vladdy take his batting practice when he was for his first game, even before he got in there, because he's such a phenom, right? So to lose that caliber of player that wants to stay here over the long term, and you don't wrap that up over a few dollars and cents. I know that it's more than a few dollars and cents, but over the lifetime of like 14 years or whatever he could sign for, really it's dollars and cents when you look at it. That on the impact that player Vladdy has, not only on Toronto Blue Jays, but the city itself, right? So,
man, I don't disagree with you, but what I disagree with is the team. I think if they were going to pay him the money, they would have paid it already.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think you can't dwell on this all year. So either sign him or move him.
I agree.
and the only way you keep them is if they go on a tear and they're keeping with the division. And it's too early to really get into the standings, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, I don't know. It's just I want to have more confidence in this group. I want to be as positive as Dan and think they're going to be the greatest team to ever touch a field.
Well, I think we need 98 wins to make the playoffs. So whether they get there, I don't know.
I don't think they need 98, but I don't know. Not a lot of teams make the playoffs because, like, right now the Jays are second in their division, but it doesn't really mean much to me.
Well, it's a good start, but think, if they're doing this well without the big guns get going. Once the big guns get going, if the supporting staff can stay doing well, this team would be pretty competitive.
What's tough is they have the least amount of home runs in the entire American League. I think they might be the lowest in the entire league, actually. And it's going to be tough because I think the Red Sox are 4-4. I'm expecting the Red Sox and the Rays to get going. I don't think the Jays at a winning percentage at 62% will be enough. And I don't know if they're going to keep this. It'll be interesting to see how they respond against the Mets today. Like, do you guys think they're going to get a win against the Mets today? Like, I'm assuming they won't get shut out in back-to-back games. That'd be embarrassing.
You'd only hope. I think Bassett's on the mound.
I hope they win. I really do. I think if they can win one game in this series, I think that's a big bonus.
Yeah, but you look at the Mets; they should be a comparable opponent.
No.
Yeah, the Mets are 4-3. I'm sorry, but
okay, our roster's way better.
I don't care. The Islanders are a lot worse than these other teams that make the playoffs, but they find a way. The Jays, if you want to keep this group together, you have to see if they can find a way to do it. Yeah. And right now, you're saying they're way better. Well, then why, if Guerrero is, if Guerrero is comparable to these other guys, then he should be able to find a way to get more hits. Or at least hit it deeper to get some sack flies, because we're getting base runners. We're getting walked all the time.
Yeah.
The Mets are the Mets are great on paper, great starts, and they always sometimes come up short too. So we'll see kind of Mets team we have as well.
Oh, 100%. But I think for the Jays, this is I don't know. I think they got to respond. Even if they don't win today, they got to respond. You got to play a lot better. Yeah. And
run.
I don't know if you guys agree with me. Gosman looked pissed when he was pulled.
Yeah, I was ridiculous when they pulled him when they did.
Did you
watch? He walked one guy out a great game.
Because he looked pissed.
I should have kept him a bit longer, I think.
He had gotten Soto out twice already in that game.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't understand to do that to put in a rookie.
Yeah, it makes no sense. He was terrible.
He kept throwing the same pitch, just kept hitting it.
Yeah, I know. It was terrible.
Like, middle of the plate.
Analytics.
Yeah, but I'm sick and tired of analytics. Sometimes you got to just go by your gut. And I'm looking to, you just got to let your best players be the best players. Yeah. It's kind of like if I need a goal to finish my season, even if analytically I have a fourth liner that's better against left-handed goalies under 6'2", I don't care. I'm putting Ovechkin out on the ice.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or I'm putting McDavid out. I'm not worried about the analytics. I'm letting my best players be the best players. And I think the Jays maybe aren't doing that.
Yeah.
And I think that showed. I don't understand how Schneider still has his job.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't get it at all.
The team has been underperforming ever since he's came in to be manager.
It's true. Instead of bringing the other guy back.
He swears constantly to the media. He's not professional.
But how much does the GM play in the role of the manager in baseball these days? That'd be a good debate.
Honestly,
yeah, I'll be another episode for sure.
Has as much control as we think they do.
Well, they control the lineup. They're the coach.
Yeah, but someone's going to tell you this is where this player is going, or this is where this pitcher's only going to throw 60 pitches today. Like, your hands are tied.
Don't just ask for forgiveness to permission and do what you want. Yeah. if you get the win, then no one's going to care.
Well, you got to get the win, though.
Well, they're not going to win with not letting their starters go. I've said it multiple times. Their starters got to go 6 innings.
That's right. Yeah.
6 full innings, not 5.12648 innings.
Yeah.
6 full innings, because we don't have the bullpen.
That's right.
Like, they have some decent relief pitchers, but then they put in some rookie, and this is no disrespect to the guy that came in, but he clearly wasn't ready for the moment.
No.
I don't know. I should be more positive. A 5-3 start's a pretty good start for this team. Truthfully, it's a bit better than I was expecting. I thought we'd be at about 500 right now, and we're 2 games above. But if we lose both games to the Mets, then we're at 500 again, right? And it's just the start of a road trip. It's not a good way to start a road trip. I don't know. But I think it's time we sign off for the day.
I think so.
So thanks very much, everyone. Thanks, Lane, for all your great comments. And hello
Thank you.
to our Instagram viewers. I apologize. I don't always get to your comments right away. They're on different screens because the way this is set up, we don't see the Instagram comments right away. But thank you for tuning in on Instagram as well. And we will see everyone on the Tuesday episode of the Streakers Island podcast. I'm Jake Moore, self-proclaimed sports analyst. You have Dan Moore, more for your money.
Woo! Stay smiling, everyone.
And Chazzy.
No island mindset today?
That's what I'm saying. Stay smiling.
Okay.
Speaking of that, do you guys remember Smile Squad from Vine back in the day? Vine and Facebook Reels? No. I guess you guys don't. It shows that I'm a different age than you. I am the spring chicken of the Streakers Island podcast.
That's right. Yeah, we're
I'm the
too
one
old.
that stays hip and teaches them terms like bussin' and
right.
no cap, bro. You're out of pocket. Yeah. But anyways, thanks for watching the Streakers Island podcast. Make sure you download the Streakers app and play along. All these games are in the Streakers app. OHL, OJHL's in there. Milton Menace taking game 1 over the Leamington Flyers. Leamington Flyers losing their first game of the playoffs. Big win for Milton. But we will see you guys on Tuesday. And until we see you on Tuesday, as Dan said, stay smiling and go streaking on the app.
Yeah. Bye-bye.